So here's my 7th grade webpage. I did do some changes that I talked about wanting to do. However, I realized after asking some questions of one of the trainers that there's still a lot of limitation in how these are set up for us. A big limit for me was the amount of space we have to upload files to this website. So the trainer who I asked is also one of the music teachers, and he said that when he tried to upload his concert, that the file was too large. And even if it wasn't really an issue of that specific file being too large, but that it took up too much room on the web page and therefore could not be uploaded. So upon hearing that, that of course switched everything around in my head, and I realized I had to change my plans. So what I wound up doing was instead of doing just concerts, I did these two headings: the recordings from rehearsals and tutorials and how-tos. The recordings from rehearsals is primarily set up for me to create audio recordings of the songs that my class is learning. Upload it to the website so the students can listen to it, find mistakes or find the good things that we're doing, so they can sort of help self-critique, which will help them when they practice at home. They'll learn how to self-critique rather than just thinking, oh, that sounds fine, or oh, that sounds terrible. They can really be specific and start to pinpoint specific concepts and techniques. Right now our concert is next week, so this is actually something I probably would be using earlier in the concert season. So we have 2 concerts each year, so that would be probably the beginning of the school year, and then when we start rehearsing our music for the spring concert. This section, tutorials and how-tos, it kind of came about because of my experience when I went to teach my technology lesson through Professor De Palma's class. Basically what my lesson was is I had my students practice in sections. So the first violins practice together, the second violins practice together, the violas practice together, the cellos practice together, the basses practice together. And when they did that, they would video record their practice. Then I set up a YouTube channel for each of those sections, and one student from each section would upload their videos. After that's done, the students within the section would comment on their video, critique it in various ways, positives, negatives, some ways to help them grow as a section and get better. Through this process, I realized that many of my students, although avid users of YouTube, had no idea how to use YouTube, meaning how to set up their own account, change their channel, upload videos, all that kind of stuff. And I did not take that into consideration when I put the lesson together, because I know that most of them use YouTube on a regular basis. And I just sort of figured with general interest they would have learned or taught themselves or learned from someone else how to set up their own YouTube page. So in here is a tutorial that I created on how to set up your own YouTube page. As you can see, it pops up in a new window, which is nice because then the original web page is still there so the students don't lose it. And here's that. I do have that video on my YouTube channel, so what I did in the brief write-up that's included with this are links to my YouTube channel, so you can watch the tutorial that I created. And I'm using that as part of my final project because I wasn't able to do as much with these websites as I was hoping. Another thing that I added to this website were a couple discussions. I came up with 2 for this level for the 7th grade. One is music ideas. What should we play? I always ask my students what they want to play. They're more apt to practice if they're playing things that they enjoy. So I always like getting their feedback. However, again, because our concert is next week, we're kind of not in that frame of mind we probably won't get into that until the fall. And then again, in the winter time in preparation for the spring concert. So this is a defunct discussion right now. But I intend to incorporate it in my lesson come fall. That way, be a nice way to communicate with the students so they could communicate their ideas. I can communicate my ideas without feeling bombarded um, or attacked. Lots of times the students are very opinionated, and at this level, they don't understand that just because they like a song they hear on TV or something doesn't mean that the sheet music exists. So this is always a difficult discussion to have. The other one is vibrato. This is a technique. I don't know what your knowledge is of music. So vibrato is a technique that is used by many musicians. And in the string world, it's a physical technique that is sometimes very difficult to master for many reasons. And so as a result, it becomes a very big discussion. And lots of students struggle with vibrato and can become very, very discouraged. And so in an effort to be able to make individual contact with them, I thought this would be a perfect place to set up a discussion, because the students really come up with specific questions that they have about their vibrato, and also have ideas in terms of how to help their peers as well. So it's a nice way to talk about this without using important rehearsal time, which I know sounds a little biased because it's a classroom time, but it is a ensemble, so it is rehearsal. And also, lots of times when the students are practicing vibrato, they're at home, and when they experience the goods and the bads while they're practicing, they're going to be at home. And so this would be a perfect opportunity for them to hop online and post some ideas and allow them to participate in a discussion that maybe after having these experiences at home, they would forget the next day in class. So basically, I've created things like this for each of my web pages. That was 7th grade. Here is the 8th grade. They probably look almost exactly the same. I try to keep the middle school web pages the same. That way, from one year to the next, it's straight up. It's easy to follow. No big changes. They know where I put things, how I organize things, and it's easy for them to find the information. Also, because I have the students for 6 years in a row, I try to continue ideas like that again for organization's sake. So here's all the same kind of stuff. There's a different discussion board here, and it's trouble practicing. A lot of my high school students are learning harder music and can or have been finding it very frustrating to practice at home, either because they're having trouble learning the music because it's rhythmically difficult, it's emotionally difficult, it's technically difficult, and they're having trouble figuring out how to break it down. So I figured, again, this would be a perfect opportunity to create a discussion board for the same reason that when they're practicing, they're at home. That's when they have the questions, not in class, because in class, they're surrounded by at least 4 of their peers, if not more, like 15 of their peers, who play the same part. So it makes it that much easier to play the part when you're surrounded by everyone else who plays it with you. Again, there's the recordings from rehearsals, tutorials, and how-tos. It's the same headings. I'm sure as time goes on, I will come up with more ways to use the media format and the discussion board in order to better my students' experience and give them multiple ways to approach their learning of their instrument and of the music that we're learning in order to really just attack it from every single angle and allow them to learn something and hopefully learn a lot of some things. So just to kind of let you see the other sites. Again, they all look the same. They're all, they have these. There's nothing here, again, because the high school concert's also coming up in 3 weeks. So I wouldn't really be using this recordings from rehearsal. We're at this point, we're fine-tuning things, and we can't afford to to use a rehearsal setting right now to record. But again, I would use that earlier in the year. And the last one up here. Here's the last one. So that kind of sums it up. This appears the YouTube channel in my brief paper. I gave links to this video, the YouTube tutorial, the YouTube how-to. That's the tutorial that's on the school websites. The original screen recording that I sent to you, and I was having trouble getting sound for one, then I was having trouble getting video for another. This is the real deal. I was able to mess with it and try a couple different formats, and finally found one that worked where you could hear the audio and see the video. So if you wanted to rewatch that, that's right here. The other videos on this are just of my 8th grade winter concert. That's actually, or in 7th grade. It's unrelated to this, but you're more than welcome to check it out if you want. And that kind of sums it up. Thank you.